Steve, thank you so much for being here with me today.
My pleasure.
This show seems like it has got to be a lot of fun, but I imagine that you're feeling a little bit of loneliness in season two, having to sit in a van most of the day when all your friends are running around doing not necessarily more exciting, but crazier things.
I mean, for the most part, that's true. Although I gotta say, these last three episodes, that's all out the window.
Well, even if you're not with your traditional co-stars, I feel like Tim Meadows, those scenes must have been so difficult. The bird blindness thing, just I first I was like, what is this? This is just whatever. The fact that that became an episode-long plot line, I think is absolutely fantastic.
The be Tim is the best. I'd known Tim for a number of years. We've never worked together though. So as soon as James, that was a really long, difficult role to task and or to cast. And when James mentioned, what about Tim Meadows? Yeah. You have to, like, Tim will nail this. I can immediately picture him, and it was better than I had even hoped it would be. And yeah, those scenes were really hard to get through. There's a lot of material, I'm sure, for a blooper reel.
What is Eagly like as a co-star?
I mean, it's like
It's
working with
like working with
the Invisible Man. uh, if that were a real eagle, it would probably be worse than working with Eagly. From everything I understand, they're pretty predatory.
well, as I said, the show is a lot of fun, but it's also been a pretty long gap since season one. How do you feel that's changed things going in? Do you feel like it's a really different working environment than it was beforehand?
Yeah, it seemed to run a little bit smoother the second time, despite the fact that there was like 3 years in between. I mean, we shot that in 2021 and yeah, 2024, almost like 3 exact years. But we all just kind of got right back into it like nothing had ever, like there was no gap at all. And the first scene we shot for the new season was the one on where we're all having a party on the roof, the five of us together. And I think James had planned it that way so that we could, hit the ground running all with the 11th Street kids back together again. It was great.
It's nice to see when everybody's just getting a chance to hang out, even if we know that they probably should be focused on more serious things because no one else is taking time off just to let them relax. But it's good to
Yeah.
have that little reunion.
Yeah. It was fun. And I mean, yeah, I mean, like you said earlier, we've kind of our characters have all kind of gone off in different directions. So it was weird getting the script and the scripts and reading them and going, "Oh wow, man, I like I'm not working with a lot of these people for a lot of you know, the season." But yeah, these last three episodes it all changes. It gets really intense, really crazy. Um, I think everyone's going to be pretty happy with it.
I was impressed enough with the first five episodes, but one thing I find with this show is that a lot of shows you go in and you're sort of like, even if it's good and even if it's surprising, you have some idea of what kind of stuff might happen. And here it's like that is the opposite of like you could not possibly predict any of this stuff. It is all so out there, and yet somehow it works because you could just throw it all out there and it could make no sense, and yet somehow this like it feels very meticulous and calculated in a completely unpredictable and crazy way.
Yeah, I feel like James, even when we were doing the first season, I feel like he knew the direction he wanted this to go. Despite the fact that there was a long break in between, he was working on, Guardians 3 and everyone was kind of working on their own thing. So I think he had a good idea of what was going to happen. I don't think this was kind of like spur of the moment, kind of, off the dome kind of writing. I think he knew what he was doing.
But again, an age where we have, DC and Marvel and these cinematic universes, this is like the Loki. Like it's something that's so completely separate that, like, yes, there's a tie. Yes, you're going to see these people in other films and projects, but this isn't like an extension of Superman. This is like the upside down version of Superman. If like we
Yeah.
weren't trying to impress families and relate to the whole world and everything like that.
Yeah, it's just a weird workplace comedy that happens to take place in a world where Superman exists and Lex Luthor exists.
It's hard to know just because there is so much time that passes. Do you feel like obviously these last three episodes you said are pretty crazy? Peacemaker, is this something that will be around for a while? Is there a season three? Is that something you think that's likely?
It hasn't been announced, so I don't know. I mean, the show's been received, I think, even better than any of us, including James, could have hoped for. Like, it's been like really well received. And I think with what I know is how the series ends. I mean, it would be a shame not to at least do something more with us, whether it be, a movie or a third season or like this, our story definitely is going to go on. It has to.
I like that. What do you think is the craziest thing that you've had to do so far on the show?
Um, Including the first season.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean,
I said
probably,
had to, maybe got to is the better way to phrase it.
yeah, exactly. Probably kill a gorilla with a chainsaw. That was, I never would have had that on my bingo card. Also, the dance number is honestly one of the craziest things we've had to do.
I feel like the look of this show is very seamless in all the visual effects. What is it like? We mentioned a little bit of Eagly before, but what is it like actually filming the show when, of course, you're not just sitting in the van? The more exciting, sequences.
James tries to go with practical effects over visual effects. I mean, clearly it's a superhero world, a comic book world, so there has, it's not going to exist without effects. But like even the quantum unfolding chamber, you know, it looks massive on camera. What you're seeing looks like it goes on forever. But honestly, when you're on the stage, it looks that way as well. I mean, yes, there's blue screen off in the distance, but that is one of the most massive sets I've ever been on. Um, so yeah, I completely forgot the question, but it's the scope of these sets and as far as versus visual effects, the visual effects are pretty minor compared, other than like people having to fly or an eagle, obviously, or the stuff they did with Michael Rooker and his weird, shaman state. Um, Everything is pretty much the way it looks on the show.
Impressive. Do you like when John is happy and thriving, or do you prefer him when he's a little bit miserable and sort of snarky?
I mean, for the story, I think it's better when he's, curmudgeonly, sad, emo peacemaker. Um, Personally, being on set with him, I like him when he's like really upbeat.
What has your interaction been like with fans of the show?
I mean, nothing but positive. When we went down to Comic-Con, I was like, oh my God, this is so much bigger than it was season one. I mean, season one, we didn't get to do a Comic-Con, we didn't get to do a premiere. It kind of just came out, quietly on a January afternoon. And this has been overwhelming. HBO and Warner Brothers really put a lot of money behind promoting the show. And, you know, the fans have been like really receiving it well. I've had a lot of great, interactions, when I do leave my house.
Well, while we're waiting for news, I hope of a season three, what are you working on right now?
I just finished an episode of Abbott Elementary, which was really fun. And Yeah, auditioning, writing, um, taking photos, which is my hobby, and keeping myself occupied that way.
What do you feel like you haven't done yet in your career that you really like to do now?
Oh man. I, I mean, as far as acting wise, I would love to do a Western. I would love it. I'm terrified of horses. I'm allergic to horses, but I would suffer for that. I'd love to do a war movie. I'm now at an age where I can't play like, an enlisted grunt. I'd have to be like the old colonel, like curmudgeonly colonel or something. I would still love to do some kind of historical war drama or something. Um, yeah, I mean, there's still a ton of stuff I would love to do, and hopefully, this is opening enough doors that I can do it.
And what have you seen recently, film or TV, that's really impressing and sticking with you?
I just finished watching Black Rabbit, which I loved. Jason Bateman and Jude Law were both amazing. It was really tense. I just finished. I last night I just watched the season finale of Alien Earth, which really loved. I just got into Love on the Spectrum, which I've just avoided for forever. And my friend Beatrice was like, "You got to check this out." And I was like, "Okay, I'll watch one episode." Cut to 6 hours later, I'm like a season and a half in, and totally invested.
Um, well, it's really been a pleasure, Steve. I am excited very much for the last three episodes of the season, and I have faith, like you do. This isn't the end. There'll be more. We have more coming out. There has to be.
I think so, man. Thanks, Abe.